Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I have an instructive game to share with you from 1984. On the white end, 15-year-old Vasyl Ivanchuk playing against Paul Hampton. So this was played at the U16 Championship. Ivanchuk finished 4th. He had 8 out of 11. First place was won by Alexei Dreyev, the only player with 8.5. On board, Bogo-Indian Defense, knight b to d2, Grunfeld variation, d5, queen check, only response to block, defend the bishop. And this bishop is immediately questioned. We see early in this game an imbalance. Now keep in mind that exchange, that wasn't just any bishop taking a knight, it was the good bishop taking the knight. Black unpins the knight, queen gets out of the line of fire, knight hops in the center, and from here we see e3. Simple enough, looking to complete development. This isn't a moment to try and cling to this bishop pair. White's focus is to increase the pressure here and remove the knight as soon as possible. If you try to have it all, let's say, as white, or in other words, get this bishop out of the line of fire and then quickly flick in e3, the timing isn't quite right for that. So if you play F4, bishop f4 here, black can play in an aggressive fashion g5, and if you're really insisting on keeping the bishop outside the chain, you're asking for these ideas, and your bishop is going to get hunted. You're going to have to create some serious concession on the king side. It's not worthwhile. It's better to simply continue to develop and say, if you want this bishop, go ahead, take it. In the end, what would we really be looking at? This would be a very strong knight being exchanged for white's bad bishop. And the result, what the position sort of points to from there, are the light square bishops, and white claims I have the better bishop. There's other things going well for white in this position structurally. The c-pawn is a contributor. Black c-pawn still on home base. In a d-pawn based opening, c-pawn usually wants to contribute. White is okay, in short, giving this piece right back. We continue with castles. Pressure on e4. In comes f5. The knight's going nowhere. Black is strong on e4. Black is not strong on e5. This is now a hole. Notice white does not castle right away. I like this next move. It is top, b4. Ready to next kick the knight away. We see just that. It goes back home. This bishop is eyeing up this maneuver here to put pressure on the knight. This square is available to the knight, but he doesn't hop in straight away. White plays with some forceful moves here. b5 was forceful move 1 of 4 in a row. So next up we have this capture on d5, and next up bishop a5. It's kind of interesting how this b4, if I'm to just back up here, this b4 b5 idea is looking to help out two minor pieces. Once you have b5 in there, the bishop has a couple interesting options, and the knight can safely move to e5 once the knight is flushed away. So we see just that. We see b5. We get the chop on d5, and now bishop a5 from here. The computer is looking more at simple castles. Bishop a5 is played in this game to provoke a weakness. b6 is the response. And white claims after b6, oh, you've created two holes. And my invasive pawn is there controlling both of them. It turns out this finesse, bishop a5 and then bishop b4, would have a good response by black, but he doesn't spot it. Again, it's leaning towards simple castles from here. In the game, bishop a5 it is. In comes b6, bishop b4 only now. So this is a backward pawn, and this is an irritating invasive b5 pawn. The rook in this position doesn't have to move. It plays to f6 in this game, stays out of the way of the bishop h5 idea. Turns out black could play c5 here. It is top. And after capture en passant, now it says go ahead for this rook lift, f7, c7, and this will be black's way to collect the pawn, and in the end, eliminate that backward c pawn successfully. All right. In this game, bishop b4 is met with rook f6, a4, knight d7, and now we have from here knight to d2. Computer's looking at castles, even a5. All right, knight d2 in this game. Not entirely sure why this move was played. It may have been that white was looking at a follow-up double attack idea. We'll see what that is shortly. Rook c8 is played here. Very sensible, gearing up for the c-pawn push. Now we have queen a2. This is the double attack I was referring to. The d5 pawn is attacked. It's also pinned. And because it is pinned, there is a second threat on e4. White's ready to take twice on that square because of the pin. Now, black's response here addresses both threats. And the way to do that is to not only defend the pawn, but to break the pin. Bishop f7 does just that. That's the move in the game. If you don't play in that way, if you merely defend the pawn and not break the pin, there we go. White would be able to chop twice on e4. So what do we see here? Bishop f7 in response to queen a2. From here, it's rook c1, very sensible. Computer once more likes castles. All right, rook c1. Black gets in c5. Pretty much have to take now. If you back off with the bishop, c4 is very strong for black. Gets there with tempo, and the bigger point, black has would have a strong connected passed pawn. So we get the capture on c6, and the rook is there recapturing. Things are coming together very nicely here for black. Nice battery on this only opened file. Pair of rooks come off. c3 is sensitive. It's covered. Queen c7. Position is around equal at this stage. Rook c1 right around the corner. White castles now. And from here we have rook h6. Black's really going straight for the king here, pinpointing h2. Computer prefers a5, and after the bishop backs off, it says stick around on the c file. Plant the rook on c3. All right, black goes in for this attack. h2 defended. And from here, bishop h5 is played. Simple idea, remove the defender, deliver, mate on h2. Now, how the computer wants to play it, you're not going to see human follow up in this way. It says undo your last move. Black is all in on the attack here. Bishop h5 it is. It turns out this is a losing move. White doesn't respond in the best way. He plays rook c1 here. Computer says best is knight h4, and only then rook to c1. All right, rook c1 straight away in this game, and black's response is a blunder. He's still focused on attacking the king, but it's white who's going to be there first. Once more, computer says abandon the attack and come back over, contest the c file. In this game, the queen goes back home. Now, right around the corner for black, chop the knight and queen h4 going in for mate. How can white follow up here? Now, this rook here is a very strong offensive piece, but it is terrible. It is in a terrible position, I should say, to defend. The back rank is very vulnerable. When you have just one rook in the position, if it's on h6 like this, that most popular flight square for your king is not going to be available. That most popular flight square I'm referring to is the h-pawn taking a single step, opening up h7 for the king. Not an option. What does this mean? If white can successfully get to the back rank, the king will be flushed out towards the center for other pieces to then pounce. The rook is all in on the offensive. No defense. How to take advantage of this is the big question. It's highlighted in this game. Bishop a6. Rook c8, right around the corner. White is there first. What do you do? In the game, knight d to c5 is the try. If something else, let's say the queen, gets out of this pin idea, the queen is going to be lost. There would be a check. You can't block here on this f8 square, keep in mind. There's 2 on it. If the king is fleshed out, there we go. Another piece can hit the king. And now what do? You move the king, there you go. The queen will be 1. And if you take the knight, you're also going to lose the queen. So what is black's try after bishop a6? It's knight d to c5. Get a couple captures there. Black's up the piece, or excuse me, white is up the piece. But black is ready to get one back. Both bishops are now under fire. Yet again, white has a way to get to this back rank. Bishop a5, that is top. Deflecting the queen away from rank 8. Black regains the material, but now the queen is ready to slip in. Queen b8 in this game. Knight e5 check to follow. 3 options now for the king. These 3 in the game. King f6 is played. I'll touch on the other 2 briefly. There's many different king moves from this point. Tough to really cover them all. If the king goes to e7, you could continue with queen takes a7. This is in fact a response regardless of where the king goes on the e-file. But checking out first king e7, you can take on a7. And if the king steps up here, that's a way to win the queen. If the king steps up here, we could have a queen check. And we're going to see soon enough why the knight would be poisoned from that point. See how it plays out in the game. And if the king goes here, just checking out the forward moves, knight c6 would be a top move here, targeting the queen and paving the way for queen e7. There's no good way to stop queen e7 follow-up check. If black tries a move like this, at least packing a punch, targeting the rook, we would have a checkmate in 2. This is a deadly combo. Some other direction there for the black king after this knight enters the scene. If king e6, yet again, you can take here, setting this one up. And there's also these ideas of queen d7. So let's just see. Queen here. We could have a check. We'll see why the knight is poisoned soon enough. Another check. And here the bishop enters. King takes knight. That's going to lead to mate. Let's see how it plays out in this game. So after Ivanchuk dropped in here with the check, king f6 was played. And this is going to lead to checkmate in just a few. Queen f8 was played in this game. The knight is picked up. Poison knight. Queen e7 check. Your only response is to block with the rook. And now we have a pawn move for mate. Pretty finish to this one. White was there first. White took full advantage of, we might say, this strictly offensive piece here, this rook on h6. No flight square on h7. The plan, get to that back rank. White was successful. Both bishop moves helped pave the way for a major piece in this case, to get to the back rank. First with bishop a6, and then this little deflection idea, bishop a5. Queen sweeping in, knight as well, and a flashy checkmate with the pawn. Anyhow, what are your thoughts on this one? Feel free as usual to leave any feedback to this video in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe took a thing or two away. That's all for now. Take care.